Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome to another Tea with JT. And this is actually me finally doing the AuthorTube Newbie tag. I've done AuthorTube videos, so why am I doing the newbie tag now, you may ask? As if anyone analyzes this channel that in depth. But still, I realized that I've seen the versions of this tag, a couple of times from a couple of wonderful people. One of the most recent ones was Avleen Massawan's video. She has some wonderful insights. I highly recommend her video. She will be among the many people I finally do a shout out in 2 videos that I have planned of shout outs. So keep an eye for that. Sorry, weird itch. And I'm not gonna edit that out. This is me. I'm tired and I don't care. 13 questions. Let's get into this so that I don't dilly-dally or dally-dilly or whatever. Question number 1. How did you find out about AuthorTube? I found out about AuthorTube probably from JD Archer and Ben Sanders. I don't just watch their booktube videos. I also watch their AuthorTube videos. And they're both doing author's answers, and I'm tagging along with that for the ride, and it's fun. What genres do you write in? Well, son, I sure ain't a one-trick pony. Novels. Only Human and Shadow Over Human are parts 1 and 2 of the Human Cycle. The Human Cycle is an urban fantasy adventure. Some people have said it has YA elements. I don't know. I can't say I disagree or agree. I would like to see what people think in regards to why it has YA elements. But it is what it is. I do have 6 poetry collections. That's 5 poetry collections in English, 1 in Spanish. The poetry collections vary in tone and style. I like to challenge myself, but I also like each poetry collection to be like an album. I want it to have its own feel. I don't want one thing mixed into another. Maybe there's something that's kind of hinting to what could have been in another collection, but trust me, I curate the poems to make sure that they make sense in the collection that they are in. It's an interesting process. I'm not going to say fascinating because that would sound pretentious and douchey, and we have enough of that going around. Here's the question that caused me to take so long to do this damn tag. What is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? I don't like to pigeonhole myself in anything. I love variety. I love challenging myself. That said, some of the works in progress that I'm doing now. Oh, actually, I have to go back. And I'm not going to edit this out. I'm going to go back to question number 2, genres that I write in. I also write middle grade fantasy. I have a short story collection called The Daydreams on the Shepherd Shore. It's pretty whimsical, pretty fantastical. And I have a bilingual collection that has essays, short stories, and poetry in English and Spanish with a bilingual poem in the middle. It is called 2020. Works in progress will show more variety. I have Natural Intelligence, which is a sci-fi novella. I have Code Name, The Boy Who Dreams About Flying, which is a middle grade fantasy book. And I just finished the manuscript for a nonfiction book. I'm writing another nonfiction book. I will also be working on the 2nd volume of The Daydreams on the Shepherd Shore and A Partridge in a Pear Tree. I don't get bored. I always keep busy. Going back to question number 3, which is what is your preferred writing tense? As you can see, I don't like to pigeonhole myself, and I like challenges. What do I feel more comfortable with? I would gather to think third person limited omniscient or third person omniscient, either or. I liked that separated point of view, but the sci-fi novella Natural Intelligence is in first person point of view because I wanted that challenge. I like variety. I don't like doing one thing or another, and I'm not going to be that type of person to say, oh my god, the 2nd person is awful, or stuff like that. If I see something that's an interesting challenge and that piques my interest, I'm going to go for it. It might work, it might not, but I'll go for it. But this question, to me, it just felt like, well, I prefer to write in third person, blah 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 blah. I'm not gonna analyze my writing to that point. Maybe I do need to analyze it, and maybe that's why I'm not super successful. But apparently, people do enjoy what I write. I do have a particular style and voice. And again, it's just a question that's just weird for me to answer, and I don't know why I get weird about it. I just do. Question number 4: Are you a plotter, pantser, or planter? Depends on the project. Uh, I don't have one method to tackle each manuscript. For example, the human cycle I put down the chapter titles. For only human, I put down the chapter titles, I put down a bunch of information, and then summary of what would happen in each of the chapters. For Shadow of the Human, which is the second part of that, I did that process, but took it several steps further. I had a notebook with annotations on characters, what would happen in different chapters, sequences, ideas. It was a lot more organized, a lot more fleshed out. I also did the chapter titles, and then I organized. I want this to be focused on this character, on this character, on this character, and this character, and that way it wasn't more top or bottom heavy towards any character or another, and it was more evened out, and I could also manipulate the tempo of how it read. You know, on occasions you would have two subsequent chapters which were lineal and a continuation, but more often than not you would switch points of views and storylines to see something different to keep you interested. That was for Shadow of a Human, and I think it's a hell of a lot tighter than Only Human. Only Human is huge, and it's winding, and it's very, very detailed, but I needed that base so I could do Shadow of a Human, and so I can do part 3, which I'm starting now. The Daydreams on the Sherbet Shore is stream of thought, completely pantsed out of my pants, and I like it. Poetry depends on what I'm doing, but a bit more than half the time it's not super planned. But again, I do different things to challenge myself. I say, oh, I'm going to do this rhyme scheme, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to explore this topic, or I'm going to explore this style, or I'm going to do it more concrete. Anything to keep me interested. That's the way to keep me motivated as a writer. Question number 5. Are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? I am self-published at the moment. I have 10 books under my name. They're on Amazon. There is always in every single video a link to my books down there. I suck at self-promotion because I just something I have to work on. I am proud of my work. It's not that I'm embarrassed of my work, but I see other people who are constantly plugging the work, and it's not that cool. Just know that I am an author. I am a writer. I love to write, and I write. My author name, is there a question on that? I don't know. My author name is based on my maiden name, so I'm releasing something under my mother's name. So trust me, I take that very seriously, and I won't release shit under her name. If you have questions about how I've done the process, there's stuff on my blog, but you can, by all means, use that sexy comment section below and ask me. Question number 6. What publishing company, literary agent, and/or printing company are you represented by or use? If you're not yet published, what is your dream publishing house and/or literary agent? Being self-published, I do it all through CreateSpace. I know there's issues with independent bookstores and Amazon. I get it, but they are the ones who make it the easiest to publish and most cost-efficient. And when you're an indie author, everything costs money. And I have seen the tendency of certain bookstores that are like, oh, you got to meet us halfway, and their definition of halfway is like 80% into their court. I'm all for playing ball. I'm all for everyone having a win-win situation, but let's be a bit more honest. I can't say that experience in the States. I've only had that in Puerto Rico, and that's a video for another day, and people are going to say, oh, you can't bash things, but I'd rather be honest about the whole process. Dream publishing house. I don't know. Anyone who can honestly help me with marketing. I don't think that the brand matters. Uh, to me, it's the story that matters. I can't say, oh, I would like Puffin or Penguin or Random House or whatever the fuck. And I'm not supposed to curse in these videos, but it's not that I want to be published by anyone. I want whoever represents me to believe in my work, to to work with me. If they think that there's something that has to be edited, for it to be edited because it benefits the story, not because it caters to the market. I get all that, but I've seen books that are written for the market and they blow. Once upon a time, before I went indie, I did research and I actually wrote directly to 5 agents and 4 publishing houses, and I didn't get a reply from any of those 9 people that I mailed. I recognize that publishing houses get dozens and dozens and dozens of queries. Mine wasn't one that shone through, so it is what it is. But trust me, I did the research, and I don't want to mention those houses because I don't want to jinx it, and I don't want to say, oh, they suck or anything. It's just the reality of the game. I could have kept insisting until I got queried and accepted by someone, and I chose otherwise. That's my decision, and that's on my shoulders. So yeah, someone who doesn't sound like a snake oil salesman, I'd love to be represented by you and to make you a ton of money. How's that? How's that for an answer? People go like, oh my god, my dream publishing house is this. I worked in advertising for a long time. And it's like, oh, what's your dream agency? I'm like, wherever I can do good work. People focus on working on the big names, and they forget that sometimes it's not happy to be in those places. You know, if someone respects my work enough to promote it and support it and give me constructive criticism, that makes sense. I will go to bat for them every single time. If people say, oh, you should include more of this for the market, that's not the agency or the publishing house for me, period. Question number 7, what AuthorTube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? So I do the 1 minute writing tips. They don't get many views, which is surprising. I think most people do have 1 minute. This comes and goes, and it depends on what I feel I need to share in my writer journey that I think might help other people. I will be talking about my experience with co-assignment and other things, not in the hopes of scaring people off, but to give you a real perspective of the stuff that you have to go through. So yeah, you know what? For that question, I'm actually gonna do a long list of topics, and I'm gonna do like 10 videos on that off the bat. And then if there's suggestions and you have questions, I've been at this not for a long time, but for a couple of years, and I have some insight into it, and I haven't done awful. I was actually making notes the other day, and I've made more than $5,000. It's not that I've not net gain gross. I have had to print the books, but I've made over $5,000 in sales. We can say that, and that's a hell of a milestone for someone who has never had an advert. For a lonely author from Puerto Rico. So in that sense, yeah, you might expect something on those lines. But probably a lot more like, this is what you have to face, so get ready. It's not smooth sailing. When did I start writing? Everyone writes in elementary school and different things for assignments, but I think the first real story that I wrote was in junior high, no, in high school. That was the first story that I could say, man, that was good. And I was writing a lot of poetry, and I think high school is just a turbulent time, and words did help me make sense of a lot of things. The first story that I ever wrote that I that the first one was something in third grade, and I don't remember what it was, but I know that I put a classmate in it, and she was fine. Because when you're in third grade, you're a player. But the first one that I'm really proud of is I Divinita, and it's actually a short story that I lost, and it actually won me a prize in college. Um, and I will be rewriting it, so I'm not going to give you spoilers. Question number 9. What was the first story you wrote? Question number 10. What authors have inspired your writing the most? Neil Gaiman, J.K. Rowling, Frank Herbert, Tolkien, C.S. Lewis. And those are authors. And there's other people that have influenced my writing, but those are the ones that have meant the most. The most are Neil Gaiman and J.K. Rowling, followed semi closely by Frank Herbert. When I read Dune, that blew me away. But when I read Harry Potter, a part of me was able to heal. I was going through a rough time. Dad had passed away, and I found the Harry Potter series, and it gave back a lot of magic to my life. And it might sound silly to people who aren't fans of the series, but people who have read it can probably relate. I've seen a lot of people who can. Neil Gaiman with The Sandman. It broke me in the best possible way, in terms of what I could or couldn't do in my writing. It definitely showed that I can do whatever I want in my writing if I believe in it and if I embrace my vision and my voice as much as I can. I would love to meet all of them, and I am proud to read them. It's not that I just like their work. I'm proud to say out loud, I am in love with the Sandman. I am in love with the Wizarding World, and you should read them too. Uh, Question number 11. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? Unfortunately, I simply get to writing whenever I can find the time. Fortunately, I find time even if it's 3 minutes, and I can do a ton of stuff in 3 to 5 to 15 minutes. I do write a lot in my lunch hours. I write a lot in the morning. Whenever I can, I do write. I've known to take a notebook to the bathroom and not use the bathroom facilities for what they were meant for. Mm, Question number 12. Do you type on a computer typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? And where do you write in general? Most of what I write is by hand, and then I transcribe. That's the first part of the editing process for me. Um, the blog, I tend to write on the computer. It sets my brain in a different tone, which is great. And question number 13. What are you most looking forward to now that you're a part of AuthorTube? I'm just looking forward to connecting to readers and writers. It's same as with BookTube, and just people who have a passion for that, and maybe someone I can find some advice that helps me on a rough day, and maybe I can give advice that helps someone on a rough day. It's all about community, and it's all about building each other up, and not the quid pro quo approach, which pisses me off. And I do know a couple of people who do that, and I don't tend to pay all the attention that they want. Support is not quid pro quo. They're two different things. One is the mandatory I scratch your back, you scratch mine, and the other one is I want to scratch your back. If you can scratch mine, that would be great. If not, I don't care. I support you. I am of that mind, and I'm not of the other mind. But yeah, and also, a big part of the writer journey is inspiring other people, honestly. It sounds kind of like a douchey thing to say, but knowing that I've inspired and motivated people to write and to go for it, whatever it is, means a lot to me, because these people mean a lot to me. I've gained great friends, and I've seen them flourish in such wonderful ways, to the point where they're poetry groups or their writing has improved or grown to such a degree that I go like, wow, even if it's a small grain of sand, I had something to do with it, and that's pretty cool. Not because I want to say, oh yeah, you had that success because of me, but because the right word at the right time convinced someone to go for it, and I was proven right. And it's not that I want to be proven right, it's that I like to see people smile doing what they love. And if it's writing, if it's motivated by anything I do, that's a great day. Anyways, I will leave you with these thoughts in a 20-minute video, which is too long. But I'm trying to keep them shorter. Didn't do well on this occasion. But until next time, peace, love, and mock your roads.